Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jun. As you can see from the brochure, I come from Shanghai, China. So if you go to Shanghai, maybe I can give you a very good guide of touring in Shanghai because my former major is tourism management. But today I will talk about the music education situation in China. You may ask why? Because some of my experience of a violinist in Shanghai and some experience of my a part-time job of violin teacher in China, and also after finishing my courses in ALC, I will go to study the graduate program of music education in APU. So I have a real interest in music education. And today I have the pleasure to share some of my observations about music education situation in China to you. As you know, China has been developing for more than 40 years from its open door policy in 1978. And at the second year of the open door policy, an American famous violinist Capstone, who visited China for about 3 weeks, and he held some concerts and master classes in the music middle schools in Shanghai and Beijing, and the whole visiting was recorded as a documentary. The documentary name is From Mao to Mozart. It was released in 1981, and after that time, a lot of excellent Chinese musicians, young musicians, was discovered by the Western society, and more and more after that time. Also after that time, more and more young musicians, Chinese musicians, went to outside of China to study Western music. But here, so therefore, China has been a factory for young world-class musicians. Here we have a question: is the situation changed in nowadays? Now let's watch a short video. Please listen carefully.
The first place.
The first place.
Austria.
Austria. But here is a Chinese name and a Chinese face. So I think it's a very sad situation for the Chinese people, because you can see this is a Chinese face with a Chinese name, but he was announced as an Austrian winner in a European music competition. So just because he learned violin in Austria from his age of 13. So, but it is not the individual case. In fact, it's very common in China. So why did young musicians decide to study music outside of China? This is because if they decide to stay in China, they will be forced to choose between the two equally poor situation of music education choices. In China, if you want to become a musician, you should decide it in your early age, because there is a kind of secondary vocational school of music. We call it as professional music middle schools. Maybe in this kind of schools, music is all. Of course, you do not have to decide your future career. in your early age, you can choose ordinary middle schools. However, in this kind of schools, music is nothing. That is why students of young musicians decide to study music outside of China. So therefore, today I will argue that China should urgently change its current music education situation by the following reasons. First one is the overemphasis of music education in the professional music middle schools. The second one is the neglect of music education in the ordinary middle schools. And the last one is lack of the opportunities of youth symphony orchestra in China. To begin, let's look at how there is the overemphasis of music in the professional music middle schools. Here is an example. This is a list of cultural subjects of the music middle school attached to Shanghai Conservatory of Music. And the students have to finish the 12 cultural subjects during their age from 11 to 17. And however, this kind of curriculum is not the core subjects for the students. That means they need to study the equal quantity of music subjects in the same period. Meanwhile, it doesn't include their professional training of vocal or instruments. Just like what Master Stern had said, maybe there is a common problem. Chinese music students have very high skill, personal skill, but they are without the lack of emotional express in their performing. So obviously, this problem may be directly related to that students in the music middle schools, they only study music subjects and spend too much time on their music subjects. So students will not get a well-rounded approach to their education. Professional music middle schools are making a person very, maybe it's one-dimensional. So just like this paper, this piece of paper, learning music is like of the paper. You may have lots of skills and lots full on the paper, but the music performance are not one-dimensional. It maybe needs some supporting from how you understand the music. And the subjects, other subjects such as philosophy, such as history, we can help you to understand the music. And so we always prefer a three-dimensional shaped student in produce better music because they can use their experience of other subjects in the music understanding. However, some people may argue that music training needs more professional repetition, and the good performances are supported by some strong skills. It may be not wrong, but in fact, weak skills cannot be admitted into the professional music middle schools. Also, professional middle school students need more balanced development. There is a very successful case in England. Northampton Music College is a kind of professional music middle school. The school provides professional music subjects and music training courses. Meanwhile, it also provides core subjects. According to the dean of the school, Pierman introduced their school. Music is a kind of tool to use into some subjects. Their main purpose is to develop students the balanced abilities to help them become not only a musician but also a good person. Okay, we have looked at the overemphasis of music education in the professional music middle schools. Now let us move on the neglect of music education in the ordinary middle schools. As you can see from the table, students in Shanghai Minhang High School can just meet their music teacher once a week. So in contrast, the curriculum in this kind of middle school put emphasis on the other general subjects. Because of that, students may have students who are interested in the music have no chance to build their music skills. And for example, let me introduce Gonglan. She comes from Shanghai, comes from an ordinary middle school in Shanghai, and she is studying physics at Warwick University in Britain. To meet her demanding of music skills and social ability, she applied for a violinist in the Spire Youth Orchestra in Britain. However, the comments of Gonglan from the Spire Youth Symphony Orchestra is, even so she has the high personal skills in music, she also lacks of sight reading skills, which was very important abilities in performing in the orchestras. And this is directly related to the fact because she went to the public schools, ordinary schools, and she was given very little time to practice her music skills in the orchestra. And in the values of contemporary Chinese society, most people are not going to be one classical musician. So music is not very important as the other subjects. It may be true that you may not need new music skills to get into a university in China. But actually, it can be very beneficial if you want to study in another country, just like Gonglan. Because the number of students study abroad is increasing. I believe the details of benefits of music education have been mentioned in Jana's presentation yesterday. Right? Okay, we have looked at the two important situations. Now let us put our focus on the third one, the lack of opportunities to participate in the Youth Symphony Orchestra in China. Here is some different statistics of Shanghai and San Diego. As you know, Shanghai is one of the biggest cities in China, and the population of middle school students is 660,000. But in every 10,000 students, there may be just 3 students have the opportunity to take part in the Youth Symphony Orchestra. In contrast, in San Diego is not the biggest city in America, but you can see students who can participate in the Youth Symphony Orchestra. The quantity of students who can participate in the orchestra is really higher than Shanghai. So for me, it is very amazing statistic about the function of Youth Symphony Orchestra in music education. With the question, I did a visiting to the San Diego Symphony Orchestra, Youth Symphony Orchestra, when they are having a regular opening rehearsal, and I had a conversation with their CEO. Mr. Smith mentioned me that by the end of 2011, no, 2015, they had a celebration of 70 years old, of operating their music education system. Annually, they have 600 students in their system, and they also have 10 different levels of bands or orchestras in the system. With this kind of professional music courses, students come from all kinds of schools in San Diego, and in their system, actually, I think the orchestra provides the place to the students to practice their music skills. Also, the conservatory programs maybe are the strongly supporting to their music skills. And some people may argue China is a developing country, and maybe developing countries do not need to pay attention to the music education before its developed economy. However, there are some countries, such as Venezuela, that have been able to develop youth symphony orchestras, and that is very successful. Here is an example. El Sistema, which is a music education system, was founded in 1975 in Venezuela, and it is a complete and historical music education system for the national young musicians. One of the beneficial owners of El Sistema is the world-famous conductor Gustav Dudamel, who has been the principal music and artistic director of the LA Philharmonic Orchestra for at least 5 years. So, China is a developing country. That may be not a very good reason to ignoring the music education. And also lack of youth symphony orchestra opportunities may well limit the healthy development of current music education in China. And finally, in the dual time today, we have talked about the overemphasis of music education in the professional music middle schools, the neglect of music education in the ordinary middle schools, and the lack of youth symphony orchestras in China for the students to take part in. So all of the above reasons are pushing us, the future music educators, to consider about how to change the current music education situation in China. Thank you. If you have some questions, please feel free to ask me.
Thanks for your presentation, Jim. So you are a phenomenal violinist, and I'm wondering about your experience in China. Did you attend an ordinary middle school, or did you go to one of these professional music schools? And also, did you participate in a youth symphony orchestra?
Thank you for your question. In my experience, I went to ordinary middle schools, ordinary universities. However, after I finished my courses in university, there is a amateur symphony orchestra in Shanghai. It's fortunately, the name is Shanghai City Symphony Orchestra. All the members come from all over the world. In Shanghai, they are stay in Shanghai and work in Shanghai, and it provides a very good environment for me to practice my violin skills. Thank you.
If there's not a lot of conservatories or training schools, why wouldn't you just have the argument that the middle schools, the regular middle schools, should have more music, but the music focused schools should stay intense. Does that make sense? Because there's not a lot of, what are the two categories? What's the other one called? The professional schools.
The professional middle schools.
Why would you want them to be more three-dimensional if there's not a lot of music schools in China? You know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you for your questions. So this point of view just come from some personal conversation between the professors in the professional middle schools and me. And they told me lots of students graduate from the professional middle schools. They just have the skill of music. They lack of maybe competition. They lack of the comprehensive abilities in the society. It's very common in China.
In the gentleman who was a violinist from, I'm assuming from China, who won a competition in Austria,
Mm-hmm.
do you really think that he would ever stay in China? Or would, the best of the best, won't they travel to the best schools in Europe? Or do you think that if there's a reform in China that the best musicians will stay in China?
Best musicians.
Yeah. In other words, are you saying that are the best of the best musicians in China going to stay in China for their training, or will they always continue to go to Europe, even if we make these changes?
Until now, most of the best young musicians choose to study Western music outside of China.
Do you think that can change with your reforms?
My reforms.
Or your...
It's hard to say.
Can you clarify your thesis for me? What is your main?
June.
No, not your name.
Thesis.
Your main thesis.
Main thesis. My main thesis is the current situation of music education in China should be changed.
It should be changed. So are you making an argument or is this a problem solution?
Argument.
It's a little unclear.
Should be changed because of the following reasons.
Okay, so this is argument.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here is also an advertisement. This is my next concert, symphony concert. If you want to know the detail, please ask me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, June. Next we have Harry.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Harry. I come from Shanghai, China. And after I finished the ALCI, I will study undergraduate and in business major. Today, I have the pleasure of sharing a very important topic about Chinese currency devaluation strategies with you. Before I get started, I want to tell you why this topic is so important. After devaluation, the international monetary system has changed, and it has a huge effect on the Chinese own economy. And let's first see a chart. This is a chart about US dollars and the Chinese yuan exchange rate. As we can see, there is a long straight line on August 12th, which is the beginning of the devaluation. And we can easily tell that before the devaluation, $1 can exchange to 6.2 yuan, and after devaluation, it raised up to 6.4 yuan. So after devaluation, one of my friends told me the joke that overnight the devaluation was done nearly 4%, and it means if you have 10 million yuan, you may lose one Audi Q5 at one night. But if you have 100 yuan like me, you may just lose one breakfast. So, combined with my own experience, as international students like us, we need to spend much more money than before on tuition. So I made some calculations. Then I found, oh my God, I have never realized that I have lost so many breakfasts. So as we can see, it is a purely negative. Oh, sorry. It is a purely negative thing in people's mind, and today I want to prove for the RMB devaluation, it is not an evil thing, but it also has several strengths. So, what's the result of the RMB devaluation? It has three main strengths. The RMB devaluation can help RMB internationalize, and it is good for Chinese export trades, and it can also improve the Chinese economy. Briefly, it's good for Chinese growth, economic growth. To begin with, I want to see how RMB devaluation may result from RMB internationalization may result from RMB devaluation. RMB internationalization can enhance China's international status and influence. The reason why the US dollars, the euro, and other currencies can act as an international trade currency in the world is because the United States and the European Union's economic strength and the higher credit status in the world. So, after realizing the RMB internationalization, China has the power to change the current situation, put themselves in a dominant position in the world. And at the same time, it can decrease the negative impact of the monetary system in China. Second, RMB internationalization can lead to more circulations of the world. More and more individuals and overseas companies will buy RMB denominated financial products, and China will become the major financial institution in the world. However, some critics of this opinion may argue that it is too fast for China to develop, and too fast development will make the Chinese economy and finance unstable. And meanwhile, many illegal activities like smuggling, gambling, and drug trafficking will happen. It will increase the difficulty of cash management and monitoring. These problems will influence the stabilization of the financial market in China. On the other hand, according to Huang 2014, now it is the time to increase the position of the RMB, and there is a step-by-step approach to reform the policy. RMB internationalization needs the liberalization of China's financial system, and it can promote Chinese economic efficiency and help China to become an economic giant in the world. We've just talked about RMB internationalization. Now let's see how devaluation can also good for Chinese exports. First, Chinese currency devaluation can help China to develop export trades and make more profits. It means you can, if the target currency is devaluated, you can use the same money to buy more products than before. So people are more willing to buy the products from the targeted country. Meanwhile, it can releasing the pressure of the economy. After that, the valuation can improve national industries. People will spend more money because of the rise in the cost of import products. And for import commodities price is rising, customers will transform to those low-price cigarette products because national industries has the advantage of the price. And it brings opportunities for national industries to develop, and the devaluation provides the power of developing the national industries. However, opponents may claim that the valuation will increase the friction with other countries. Due to the rich resources and the huge populations, it is much easier to have conflicts with other countries because of the low price. This might be true, but China can take this opportunity to optimize the structure of export trades and to develop high efficiency and low pollution, high technology content of new products. And at the same time, it can also improve the ability of dealing with the exchange rate risk. Finally, the most important part is Chinese currency devaluation can help promote the Chinese economy. And the most important part of improvement is China can join the SDR. So some people may ask that, what is SDR? So the SDR, the whole name of SDR is the Special Drawing Right, which is an international reserve assets created by the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, in 1969 to supplement its member countries' official reserves. So, according to Zhu, the chief economist in Chinese Chase Bank, he said, in the short term, China is likely to treat joining the SDR as a catalyst of financial reform, especially in terms of capital account opening and exchange rate system reform. So the yuan to join the SDR has a huge and important effect on Chinese financial reform and the exchange rate movements. Although Zhu believes that the join the SDR is not so important, but the yuan to join the SDR encourage central banks and the sovereign wealth funds to hold yuan-denominated assets, which improves the yuan as a reserve currency status. Part of insiders think the symbolism of the SDR is meaningful. In recent years, China has been actively participating in global dialogue of international financial architecture reform. Conversely, critics of this opinion may point out that, like Wang Han, who is an analyst in industrial securities, the influence of the SDR is just reflect on the confidence level, which just catch the attraction from foreign countries, but the widespread use of contribution is still limited. And from the angle of the chart, we can see the yuan now in trade settlement has the third highest proportion of the new SDR, but compared to the US dollars and the euro, it's still very low. And in the cross-border payment, the yuan hasn't been in the top 5. While it may be true, but in fact, the yuan to join the SDR is a win-win strategy for China and the world. For China, in short term, it can increase the confidence of the world on the RMB and the Chinese economy. And for long term, it can speed up the reform of Chinese financial market. All of these can help Chinese economy balance again. So, join the SDR is just a new beginning. So as what I said, the RMB devaluation strategies is not a negative thing, and it has also has several strengths, like it can help RMB internationalize, it is good for Chinese export trades, and it can improve the Chinese economy. The adjustment of the yuan, the purpose of which is to make the yuan more market-oriented, and we can treat these strategies as microeconomy regulation and the counter policies, which makes control more plentiful. Because of the valuation, China is expected to effectively stimulate the expansion of exports and decrease the pressure of economy. Maintain exports as an important power of developing as an important power of economic growth. These have the positive and meaningful significant meaning of promoting the economy in China. The yuan is still the strong trade currency in the world. Thank you. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me.
You said that the Chinese economy needs to be balanced again.
Yeah.
Can you expound on what you mean by that?
So as I said, the Chinese currency devaluation is too fast for China to develop. So it will cause the Chinese economy and the finance unstable. So the Chinese economy will unstable for a while, for a long time, maybe 1 or 2 months. So it can export which part? So the export trades will help the let me see. Balance again. So the strategies, the benefits of the strategies can help the Chinese economy balance again.
And when you were talking about people will spend more money and customers, are you talking foreign customers, or are you talking within China?
In China, so Chinese citizens will spend much more money to buy the import products. So they will transform to those low-price, stagnant products in the national industries. So it will much cheaper than buy the imported.
Did you say
products.
Imported products?
Yeah.
What would you say? It's an election year in America, and some candidates say that there's a real huge trade deficit between China and America and other countries, that we need to even out the trade deficit. How would that affect your position of devaluation?
How would that? Thank you.
In other words, I mean, China sends over 100 products to the U.S.
Yeah.
And you buy one product. And so some candidates say that's not fair, it needs to be more 50-50. How would that approach affect RMB devaluation?
Let me think. From my own perspective, I think it depends on the countries. So if the target country can improve their own products, so the foreign countries will more willing to buy the products from the target countries. So RMB devaluation provide opportunities for China to provide its national industries, so it can be better to sell the products to the foreign countries. It will never have that case happen again.
Okay. Other questions? Okay, thank you.
And next we have Cynthia, and Cynthia is going to talk to us about faith-based treatments. Let's give a round of applause for Cynthia.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Cynthia. After I finish ARCI, I will study psychology as an undergraduate because I have an interest of better understanding some psychological issues that patients could struggle with. In addition, I'm also a Christian, so I am very interested to combine my faith and field of psychology. Today, I want to share with you how faith can be used to treat mental illness such as depression. Before I get started, I want to show you a story about a woman named Fiona Sit. She was a famous singer in Hong Kong, and she also is a Christian. In 2010, she was struggling with depression. It was a very difficult time for her. She felt very sad every day, and depression influenced her sleeping, eating, and working. Even influenced she went to commit suicide. One day, she met with a couple, which asked the questions. They prayed for Fiona. After that, Fiona started to learn more about Christianity. Finally, she was recovered. This is a strong example to show us that faith-based treatment can treat depression. Before I jump into my topic, I want to ask you a question. Do you know how many people are experiencing depression? According to World Health Organization 2016, there are 350 million people are experiencing depression in the world. Also, National Institute of Mental Health 2014 report that around 15.7 million American adults are experiencing depression. To help you know more about my topic, I want to introduce what is depression. According to National Institute of Mental Health, clinical depression is a common mental disorder. Depression symptoms include lasting negative emotions such as sadness and anger, negative feelings such as hopelessness, and losing interest for everything, especially activity. It will influence people's handle daily life activities such as sleeping and eating. Some patients will have suicidal thoughts and behaviors. Depression may be caused by your genetics, such as psychological problems or environment, such as for your communities. It can happen at each age. Finally, I would like to tell you what is faith-based treatment. Faith-based treatment is a treatment under counseling that combines patients' religious faith with depression treatment. It connects depression treatment with prayer, scriptures, spiritual practice, and religious communities. The goal for faith-based treatment is to reduce patients' mind and change their behavior. Therefore, today I will argue that faith-based treatment is a viable form of counseling for depression by these following three reasons. Faith-based treatment can provide viable social support and improve patients' behavior and renew patients' mind. The first important factor why faith-based treatment is important because it can provide social support. Patients can get help from religious leaders, such as pastor, guru, teachers, rabbi, elders, opening their mind and learning religion spirit through talking with religion's leader. Also, patients can get help from religion's group and practice. They can join into some Bible study, volunteer group, church service to ask for prayer and having confidence to overcome their depressions. In addition, people who in religion's community can use their experience to help patients. However, some people may argue that some depression patients are not willing to have social contact. Depression symptoms will lead patients prefer to stay alone. They may not want to show their life or emotion for others. Some patients are refused to communicate with others. It may be true, but suggestion can't promote social contact. Sometimes patients just need a guide to tell them what should they do. Doctor can be these guides and tell them they should go to the communities. Doctor also can use the strong language to let patients know social contact is very important to help them overcoming depression. Additionally, religions communities can do the same. They can show some evidence for patients about if they spend time in community, they will be more likely overcome depressions. According to Conlin 2015, there in 12 weeks, compared with high religious practice participation and lower participation, there are 18.5% of patients who have high religious participation, who have high religious practice are improved. And for the lower participation patient, only 16.9% of them would improve. Moving on, I want to talk about faith-based treatment can improve patients' behavior because depression symptoms will cause self-harm or suicide. Some patients may have alcohol dependence because they want to forget their negative emotions through using alcohol. Some patients may have eating disorder. Faith-based treatment can help patients stop self-harm and suicide. Doctors can use moral teachings to ban this kind of behavior. For some patients who want to forget their negative emotions through drinking a lot of alcohol, faith-based treatment can stop their heavy drinking. Also, faith-based treatment can help patients eat appropriate because eating a lot or don't want to eat something is not good behavior in their religions. However, some people may argue that changing patients' behavior do not mean change their mind. Patients' mental problems still here. They still have a lot of negative emotion. They still feel stress. Patient depression symptoms still here. Patient cannot sleep, work very well, and they still possibly. It may be true, but if a patient wants to commit suicide, the most important thing is saving their life. We should save their life and keep their body health at first. Then we can continue to help them to change their mind. After I talk about changing patient behavior, it may let you think about how to change patients' mind. Therefore, the most important reason why faith-based treatment is viable because faith-based treatment also can change patients' mind. Encourage learning through religious teachings and practice such as prayers, scriptures reading, meditation, and memorization of scripture. For example, when patients memorize a sentence for scripture every day, this kind of thought will change their mind and let them have a new thinking. Also, patients can get more confident after doctor pray for them. Faith-based treatment can replace negative thought and inaccurate thoughts. However, some people may argue that faith-based treatment cannot renew patient mind because some patients do not want to accept faith-based treatment. They may be afraid of being judged for their gut. For example, some patients may did some wrong things and they do not want to fight with their gut because they think they have sins and their gut will judge them. If patients do not want to accept faith-based treatment, it cannot renew their mind. It may be true. However, some sites point out that special cases, special cares. Doctor can connect with religious leader and ask them how to provide the best treatment for patients because religious leaders have a lot of experience. Also, doctor can expand more religious spirit to help patients understand clearly. Doctor have to guide them to the right way and make sure they are understanding about religion. Today we have talked about faith-based treatment is viable to provide social support, improve behavior, and relieve mind for depression patients. After these treatments are being used more and more in counseling, it can help patients open their mind and reduce depression symptoms. Faith-based treatment can help patients get rid of depression and keep their body healthy. Thank you. If you have some questions, please feel free to ask me.
Hi, Cynthia. Thank you so much for your presentation. I get the distinct impression that you're really passionate about this topic. I have a question with regards to your last main point about changing patients' minds. Do you have any specific examples besides Fiona, you mentioned in the introduction, of how faith-based treatment has changed patients' minds?
How?
Yes, do you have any specific examples of individuals who've undergone faith-based treatment and have experienced a change in their mind?
Thank you for your question. So, before I do this presentation, and I read an article. There have a lot of examples is talking about some patients they are recovered and they show how to the faith-based treatment. How can the faith-based treatment help them? And I remember one example is a patient that tell the audience is when they read the scripture every day, and they have a new thought to look around the environment. They have a new thought for the environment. So I think read scripture and memorize some sentence can help them have a new thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you, Cindy.
involves something that was on one of your earlier slides. It says that you're asserting that this faith-based treatment combines clinical treatment with faith. Is that correct?
Clinical.
So is it
Right there. Next one.
So it combines patients' religious faith with traditional treatments. So you're arguing for both faith-based treatments and traditional treatments like medicine or therapy. So are
Yeah.
you saying both of them, or are you saying that just faith-based?
No, I think because in the beginning I introduced faith-based treatment is a treatment under counseling. So counseling is a traditional treatment. So this is the new in the counseling. This is the new treatment.
Now with this combined treatment, is this something that people disagree with? The idea of combining faith and traditional treatments together? Who might be someone that would disagree with this? What, a group of people or an organization, something like that?
I think in this slide it cannot relieve patient mind. So these people think about it's not useful for patient because some patient they're afraid of drugs or something big, and religion's faith may cause and may increase some stress for patients, so they disagree with use faith-based treatment for depression patients.
Okay, so these authors here?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
If you were a therapist or counselor right now, how did you apply your faith-based treatment to the clients? Let's say we know that a person who's suffering from depression, who is lack of the motivation to do anything. How do you ask them to like read the scripture, memorize scripture, praying? What would you do?
I think. So thank you for your question. So, do you mean how to ask patient to read the scripture or memorization?
Let's say you are a counselor right now.
Uh-huh.
How do you treat that client with your faith-based treatment?
I think in the beginning, I can ask do they have religion faith, or and if they say yes, and we can start to add some prayers or scripture reading for them. And if they think, oh, it's okay to do that, and I can continue to add more in this treatment.
Okay. So, we know that some depression claim is like very severe that you need to like take a medicine. So, do you agree or disagree that medicine?
Actually, I agree with use medicine because I think my topic just all focus on counseling.
Yeah.
So I agree with the combine these treatment medications and counseling treatment for patients, but I just think we can add faith-based treatment under the counseling.
So how do you combine it?
I think for some patients they just need counseling, but for the major depression patients, they should use medication and counseling at the same time. So I think because in American this is two different departments for for patients. So I think the medications department can connect more counseling department, and if counselors think this patient still this treatment is not useful for patient, I think they should combine medication.
Okay, we have to stop it there, but thank you very much.
Okay, let's take a 10-minute break, and we will come back at 10:17. Yeah, it's normal. Yeah, you're done. How was it compared to the first time?
I think
Easier or more difficult?
I think if I try to answer the question, I will have more confidence because I know the research.
You did try your best at your questions.
But I read a lot of time for my law.
You did read a little bit more than you should have,
But I'm nervous and I forgot.
You're so nervous and a little nervous.
I'm nervous.
Yeah. Professor, Bella want me to tell you she already put her assignment in email box. In your email box.
Great. In my mailbox.
Yeah, email box.
Mailbox. In my mailbox. Yeah, that's funny.
他什么？哪有？我觉得我去年好一点。去年根本就不知道你在讲什么。
我只是说内容。
对，而且其实我有点，我不是烦，我是想要崩溃要停止的感觉。
我觉得你单纯，因为如果你想要自己发现出来，就你要在
没有，你没有发现，其实后面已经好很多了。
可是如果你在当下想放弃那个发现出来，要再其实你是要再重来一次，不可能说。
给我一个拖鞋。还好没有很难。哎，其实我突然又忘记了他们那个什么 example。我说的那个 example 是好的吗？
就说是文章里面。
怎么办了？我觉得我要疯。只有脸上的问题。
By the end of the day, that's totally fine. Anytime today is fine. Honestly, I won't read it today, so just as long as it's there. Oh, Alright.
No. 我不是说房间，我唱了听没有？我不是说房间，我是说晚上。
First, okay. Oh, okay. Okay, I just want to make sure you downloaded a new one. I want to
是你们可以你们俩再去，反正我要用。反正好像去的路上好像就只有80块钱吧，要不要吃？但是我觉得就是因为我感觉没有回所以我才想要cancel那个然后就是唱歌的。
弟弟坐那。
So I went.
I'll let you know.
Okay. So it's up to you. You decide. But I mean, I 听完杨姐讲我就走。
都没有听到。
感情不一样哦。
我现在唱这个超现实很好，让我去做图片偷剪方呢，其实我没有那么快，那我还是画的。
我是难以决定。
我突然觉得，
但这个角度可以让这个角度看起来还不错，但是你纯粹要去要一个。
哎姐，你那个发不出去。
我知道，我都不知道为什么只有他的发不出去，他人都可以。
你有没有给我发？
我发给你了，他可能不喜欢你。我到底要怎么讲？
啊，我的发型怎么这么丑啊？
是
弄歪了，而且我的嘴干嘛啊？我的嘴干嘛？
你在发念碎念。
怎么人家这么帅？
是我要你要走。
准备来了，因为我现在在自己看。
这是你包吗 ，Yuna？ 什么时候买的？
裴军，这里是谁的座？
一盒1000多，100多啊。
赶走。今天是你。
对嘛？
我已经包过了。
你喜欢上我的包了吗？
还蛮美的。
是不是水桶包？
对啊。
什么时候买的呀？
上次
打折的时候，对不对？你买了多少钱？
我要买。
我本来之前我是看到就是黑色里面蓝色的，但是后面没买。
我要买一个。
太帅了！我这个没有。
没有紧张。
有啊，这里有个 MK。
我是说渐变色，因为它这个水桶包有那种外面一个颜色，里面一个颜色。
我觉得还好，真的。对，加油！
谢谢。
这干嘛的？
那是手用茶短的时候的。
蛮美的嘛，好美啊！
那整个人都好帅。
哇，你这个球完全好厉害！
我今天早上就放了，蹦就出来了，暖流就冲过来了。我找个手机上。
今天晚上几点走？是今天晚上走。
我下午去找我哥。
可是我们晚上
全满了吗？